The biggest reason the poor are still with us is simply this: we expect that they should be. I wonder if we lack the imagination, if we lack the hope that the world could be dramatically different. But the good news is we can be released from the tyranny of our low expectations. We can be free from that lie that the future will somehow be like our past. The truth is, extreme global poverty can be overthrown by our generation. But maybe you're a realist. You're a little skeptical. You may believe that it's possible in theory, but you kind of doubt that it could be accomplished anytime soon. The statistics are overwhelming. 164,000 children died of measles in a single year. 881,000 people were killed by malaria. 1.4 billion people struggle to live in extreme poverty. That's surviving on less than $1.25 per day. But measles doesn't kill people. Malaria doesn't kill people. A lack of food or clean water, they don't kill people. Even most natural disasters, they rarely kill people. There is one single killer responsible for all of these deaths: extreme poverty. Poverty is the difference between a $5 latte with an extra shot or a $5 shot that will protect a child from dying of measles. Poverty is the difference between an earthquake in Los Angeles killing 63 people and an earthquake of similar magnitude in Haiti killing 220,000 people. Wherever poverty has a stronghold, the statistics are grim. I'd like to take you back 200 years to 1810. We had an average lifespan of 30 years, and almost all of us were living in extreme economic poverty, but things begin to change. Industrialization starts to happen in Europe, and the economies are growing, and as they're making more money, they're able to secure more quality food, and they're living longer, they're living healthier. And in that time, we discover electricity, and we invent the automobile, and airplanes, and vaccines, and soon the rest of the world is following. And as you look across that whole span of time, you see this momentum, the sense that we are heading somewhere. Even those countries that we look at today and think, it's just not possible. They are all following this path out of extreme poverty and into a new place. You remember that massive number that I gave you earlier, the number of people living in extreme poverty, 1.4 billion? Well, listen to this. If you're only going to remember one set of numbers from all this stuff I'm telling you, remember this: 52 to 26 and 26 to go. In 1981, 52% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty. Today, that number is 26%. We've cut the percentage of people living in extreme poverty in half, and we did it in a generation. If that's what the generation before ours did, just imagine what our generation can do. There are 138 million Christians in America who attend church regularly and say their faith is very important to them. Collectively, we earn $2.5 trillion per year. We would be the 7th richest country in the world. If we were a country, we'd have a seat at the G8. God has given us amazing wealth and influence. The question is, what are we going to do with it? What could we do with it? In Isaiah 58, we find God's people. They are they're begging to receive blessings from the Lord. But they're exploiting their workers, and they're fighting with each other. They're bickering, and they're complaining that their sacrifices haven't been noticed by God, and that their fasting has been overlooked. But Isaiah, the prophet, he steps into that and he says, you want God to honor your sacrifices? Well, this is what you need to do. It's time to loose the chains of injustice. It's time to set the oppressed free. I believe the message of Isaiah 58 is the same message that we need to hear again today. No more idle words. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, human progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts of men willing to be co-workers with God. It's time for authentic action. Let's stop performing out of religious habits and start living the life we were called to. The poor will not always be with us. We do not need to live in a world where children die from preventable diseases. Extreme poverty and all the suffering it brings can be pushed into the history books. And God has given us the mandate and every resource that we need to accomplish that task. He has entrusted us with money, with knowledge, with influence, and with a brief amount of time on this earth, a brief amount of time in which to make a difference. Ending extreme poverty is our generation's greatest opportunity to join the ranks of those who fought for the end of the slave trade, to stand with those who worked for equal rights in the generations before ours. And we are asking you to join this march. Not because you need to, not from duty, not out of guilt, not with any reluctance, but because you want to, because you were made for this. Poverty has a solution. It is the true fast of Isaiah 58. When we fast, we give up something good for the sake of something great, like giving up food in order to focus on prayer. What fast will you choose? Go to live58.org and choose your fast. Commit to your strategy in the great cause of ending poverty.